Returning to the highest military, political, and economic power on planet Earth, stepping over, in all senses of the term, the 46th US President Joe Biden and all the Democrats alongside with him becoming the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald Trump has made a spectacular comeback. Donald Trump has won the U.S. elections, winning a landslide victory in swing states. His rival Kamala Harris has secured 226 electoral votes, while Trump has won 295. Crossing the majority mark of 270, he will be the second Republican to get a second term in office in 20 years. George Bush, a Republican, was president from 2001 to 2009. As far as swing states are concerned, Trump has won the swing states of Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and is leading in other two, Arizona and Nevada. So Kamala Harris conceded defeat early morning. In her speech, the Democratic leader said, though she has conceded the election, she has not conceded, I quote, the fight that fueled the campaign. In a speech that lasted less than 15 minutes, Harris admitted it was painful to lose, but urged her supporters to keep fighting. Well, sure thing. Keep fighting, but not over presidency this time. As the elections have been thought to be on the edge of the knife, but overnight results showed Trump had secured enough votes to win. He will be the first former president to return to office in more than 130 years and at age 78, actually the oldest man ever elected to the role.
We will make America safe and strong and prosperous and powerful and free again. And I ask every citizen across our country to join me in this effort. It is time to put behind the divisions of the last 4 years. It is time to come together and we will try, we must try. And it will happen. Success will unite us. Donald Trump, elected president of the USA.
Right, but what about Ukraine? Some of Trump's words sounded like Putin's, really. Speaking in his campaign headquarters after the election, Trump outlined his plans for global conflicts. I would encourage Russia to do whatever the hell they want, Trump said. But he was actually the one to give Ukraine a lethal weapon to fight Russia off. Then he also said, I quote, I'm not going to start a war, I'm going to stop the wars. Then, during a campaign rally in South Carolina, he mentioned how during his presidency he had threatened NATO states by saying the U.S. would not defend those who were not paying their dues. But, according to J.D. Vance, Trump still wants NATO states to carry their share of the defense burden, and he wants the U.S. to remain in NATO, Vance said. Well, during his first term, Trump met with Russian dictator Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He also said during the election campaign that he had a good relationship with the Kremlin leader. Trump repeatedly emphasized that if elected, he would pull America out of the war and quickly end the conflict with phone calls to the respective presidents of Russia and Ukraine. On the evening of November 5th, I will call Putin, I will call Zelensky, I'll say, we gotta stop this. He vowed to make a deal in 24 hours. On October 20th, in an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Trump mentioned that he talked to Putin and had threatened to strike Moscow if Putin continued to pursue Ukraine. Trump did not actually specify when or under what circumstances this conversation with Putin took place. In one more way, Trump proposed ending the war was by cutting energy prices in half or more within a year of taking office. He believes that Putin could not fight when oil was $40 a barrel. On September 27th, Volodymyr Zelensky met with Donald Trump in New York and presented him with Ukraine's victory plan. And now Zelensky spoke on the phone with Trump, an old president of the United States.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці, українки.
I wish you health, fellow Ukrainians. Today is indeed a special day, and one piece of news is grabbing everyone's attention around the world. The absolutely convincing election results in America, a clear leadership of President Trump. I congratulate him on this victory. In general, it was extremely important for us in Ukraine and for all of Europe to consistently hear the words of the 45th 45th President of the United States about peace through strength. And if this becomes the policy principle of the 47th President of the United States, America and the whole world will undoubtedly benefit from it. It is not without reason that Ronald Reagan is mentioned so often these days. People want confidence, they want freedom and normal life. And for us, this means a life free from Russian aggression, and with a strong America, with a strong Ukraine, with strong allies.
It was even back then in the days, right after the meeting with Zelensky, when Trump was to understand the urgency of the situation and openly stressed the importance of, I quote him, a very fair and rather rapid deal.
I learned a lot. I think I haven't changed from the standpoint we both want to see it end and a fair deal made. It has to be fair. I think it will happen at the right time. I think it is going to happen. Donald Trump elected president of the USA.
But guess who called Trump first after he wins? Exactly, Xi Jinping, China. Now, that's another landslide for sure, as it is not a letter, not an official wave from overseas. It's a private call. A signal that might show that China desires changes in its rather tense relationship with the United States. Or maybe not, as China is China, who knows? Well, official Beijing is hearing Trump's rhetoric that promised trouble to it, but China also sees facts. Nothing too bad happened. Just a rhetoric. And this is exactly what I like and hate about Donald Trump. His mouth is huge. He promises Russia a green light and threatens China, something that neither Obama or Biden or Harris would ever dare to do. But what Trump does, his real actions contrast his sayings sharply. Weapons are delivered to Ukraine. Favorable decisions are made, and he can force Putin to what he calls a fair deal. The only thing left is to learn what Donald Trump actually calls a fair deal. And this is going to happen very soon, as Donald Trump is anticipated to begin the selection of his cabinet, as well as appointing officials in key areas like defense, intelligence, diplomacy, trade, immigration, and economic policy in the coming weeks. Here are some leading contenders for these prominent positions, with some being considered for multiple roles. Bill Hagerty, candidate for Secretary of State. U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty, who worked on Trump's 2016 transition, is another strong contender for Secretary of State. Known for his alignment with Trump's policies, Hagerty previously served as the U.S. ambassador to Japan. Marco Rubio, candidate for Secretary of State. Senator Marco Rubio, a former presidential candidate with a focus on Latin American affairs, is also in contention for Secretary of State. Tom Cotton, candidate for Defense Secretary. Senator Tom Cotton, a military veteran with extensive foreign policy experience, is a prominent contender for Defense Secretary. Known for supporting military aid to Ukraine, Cotton aligns with Trump's hawkish faction, though. Mike Pompeo, candidate for Defense Secretary, former CIA Director and Secretary of State. Mike Pompeo is a potential choice for Defense Secretary. Pompeo has returned to Trump's inner circle and, after briefly considering, primary challenge. Well, please let me add something and express a shadow of a hope that Mike Pompeo will actually take the chair of Defense Secretary. As if he does, we will all learn a great deal of difference between what Trump says aloud and what his Defense Secretary can actually do in favor of values that are proclaimed so loudly by Democrats but never actually fought for consistently enough to not cede the grounds, same consistently to opposing force. And in easy terms, this is exactly what happened. Democrats did to Republican Trump, ceded the ground to him.